Should companies have a similar code of ethics to that of doctors and lawyers? Great question. I believe there needs to be accountability for the actions of that of the corporations. We understand that corporations are there to do business and to drive profits and increase shareholders' equity. That is a given. But how do we impose regulatory sanctions or laws or just greater social awareness to make folks aware of actually what's going on in the marketplace? Starbucks, for example, a great company that's doing a lot of good things around corporate social responsibility. And they're reporting on that, but that is self-governing and that's self-reporting and self-policing. Albeit that they actually try and probably go a little bit farther than they need to or they have to. However, it is very important that these companies are also regulated in societies abroad. For example, so when they say they source their beans from ethical farmers or that meet their standardized codes, well, the farmers can actually go out of their ways to actually break those codes without the knowledge or the understandings of Starbucks. There's a whole ecosystem that actually happens with the farmers when it comes to actually paying their employees or using other vendors or sourcing beans from other locations and then actually passing that on to Starbucks and essentially potentially committing a certain level of fraud. So how do we police that? All the way down from the individual worker all the way up to the CEO. I think systems in place that need to mandate and hold CEOs extremely accountable to that with regards to the financial obligations, directly speaking to that accountability. So if in fact, that's not enough, but if in fact Volkswagen is paying their $14 billion sanction that they had against them, that is one portion of their $220 billion dollar P&L that they actually had in 2015, of which they have $16 billion in cash and they have total current assets of $150 billion. So this was an impact to their bottom line, assuredly. However, this would not stop them from continuing to drive profit. What we need to understand is this program and how many automobiles were actually sold as a result of actually faking those particular tests. Causing undue harm and cause to the environment, lying to consumers, and lying to their constituents and stakeholders. A fine is a slap in the wrist, but how much money did they actually make with these particular endeavors? Companies that are doing sales in excess of $200 billion, a $14 billion supposed fine that could be written off, that could do a variety of different things, can be sanctioned, can be pushed aside. Those things can be negotiated down. Those things actually are impactful to the bottom line. But however, if you told me that I can generate a $200 billion a year business and potentially have a $15 billion hit to the bottom line with the profit margins that they were acquiring, that might be something worth a risk. Now, from an ethical perspective, on my standpoint, I am not going to do that. I would never do that. However, companies are in the business of driving profit. And it starts at the top and it works its way down. So we need to have, I think, the best methodology for this or the best mechanism for this is greater social awareness. Hold companies accountable, not just some companies, not the deviants in society, not the oil companies, not the mining companies or the coal companies specifically, referencing just recent disasters in memory, but every company. Companies like Apple, they make products overseas. They have thousands of suppliers and vendors. Are they monitoring and watching everything that's happening in those factories with a level of efficacy? Potentially, but I bet there's things that are slipping through the cracks. So how do we manage that? We have to have a system in place. And I think the greatest system in place is going to be social awareness. And we have to bring it to the forefront, just like it is with climate change. And then we have to have CEOs to actually bring forward and step ahead and push forward with these particular initiatives. However, companies are not going to extrapolate and spend more money than they have to, considering that the bottom line is profit. What is the short solution? Laws, sanctions, regulatory requirements, and self-policing is great, but also requiring that self-policing be pushed the bar and that there's level of improvements every single year. That's one aspect of it and be helpful. But I think greater social awareness, bringing it to the forefront. Climate change is very, very, very much a part of society and do no harm in these implications that these companies are doing on our environment. However, businesses are the ones that, unfortunately, are proponents and have hurt the environment. And asking them to scale back is well and good, but I think that we need more accountability. But what does that look like? it would need to be massive worldwide collaboration of systems. It would have to be communication across the globe. And as we become more and more globalized as a society, I think that the potential for that is truly great. But we're still just coming to the forefront of climate change. And that is one social impact of companies doing business. And the social responsibility speaks to that. But how has that impacted the bottom line? How has that impacted the environment? How has that impacted the individuals? So I think until those questions are addressed and those answers are vetted, we're going to have some difficulties in actually procuring a system that is going to efficiently monitor companies outside of states, countries outside of the US that are doing business abroad and also bringing products into this country. Thank you.